If you've got one of these and you've got one of these, I know something new that you can do with both of them. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This is the PC Engine Files. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And major credit for this goes to Bob at RetroRGB, because I would not have even known it existed were it not for his website. And when I had questions about it, he was able to answer them on social media. So, Bob, you are a super nice guy. Thank you for this. And thank you for sharing with us that there is a brand new operating system for the Turbo EverDrive made by Crix. Now, if you don't have version 2 or later, this isn't going to work for you. Version 1 Turbo EverDrives will not support this new operating system, but thankfully for me, I have version 2.5. So here's what you need to do. Well, in my case, at least, here's what I did. I made a backup first of my Turbo EverDrive, just in case anything goes wrong. You want to have the original operating system and your original HuCard games that you were playing on it backed up somewhere securely. Never hurts to make a backup when you're trying something new. Am I wrong or am I right? Of course I'm right. You already know that. You're watching this video. So in the TBED folder, which is short for Turbo EverDrive, you're going to have an os.pce. That's the file you're going to end up replacing with the brand new version that was just released. It's not the official operating system from Crix, but it will work just fine. The links to everything will be in the description of this video, but if they stop working for any reason, go to retrorgv.com and look for TEOS, or do a Google search for this GitHub jbrandwood/TEOS, and you'll find version 3.01 or whatever the latest version is as of the time you're looking. Unzip that folder, and then you're going to drag and drop the contents of that folder straight to the root of your Turbo EverDrive's micro SD card. You really don't need all of them, you just need the TBED folder. And then when you have the TBED folder, if you want to use the new operating system as your official operating system, you're going to rename it to os.pce. If you want to use it as an alternate operating system, leave it as TEOS.pce. Put your micro SD back into your Turbo EverDrive, after you've safely ejected it from your laptop or computer, of course. And then, depending on whether you're using this in a TurboGrafx 16 or a PC Engine, you might need to change this dip switch at the top. Let me turn this around so you can get a little better look at it. I had it set to TurboGrafx 16, but for this video, I'm going to flip the switch to PCE for PC Engine, and I'm going to use it in my PC Engine since that's easier to film, and that's what we're doing right now. You can see I am running the new operating system. I like the colors and the font. It's very easy to read. He's even got a custom one called TEOS-GT.pce. That one has a font specifically for the handheld versions of the PC Engine, like the Turbo Express. So if you can't read the fonts in this version, switch to the -GT version and you should have an easier time. As you can see, the ROMs are not alphabetized, so when you load them into your SD card, you're going to have to pre-sort them yourself. But they'll all be there and they'll all be accessible, which is, of course, the most important thing at the end of the day. But why would you want to use this particular operating system over the stock one that Crix makes that's widely available with or without his website? You could get that same operating system from any number of GitHubs or secondhand resellers of Crix products like Stone Age Gamer or Castlemania. Why would you want this specific operating system? Well, there's one thing that it does that I know for sure that the stock Crix operating system for the Turbo EverDrive does not, and that's the Tennekoe bank. I've seen auctions for the Tennekoe bank for years, never picked one up because I had no idea what it was. The name to me implied it was some sort of Japanese banking software that you'd need a modem for and wouldn't even be accessible or useful in the United States. How wrong I was. The Tennekoe Bank is actually a bank of your save data. It saves all of the data that is stored in the file cabinet of your PC Engine or TurboGrafx and keeps it for future use, and make sure that you don't lose it if you have a power surge or some sort of fatal flaw that wipes everything, or you accidentally erase it, or your kid erases it, whatever the case might be. If you have saved data that you don't want to lose, it is a way to keep it forever. But this unlocks a whole new way of using a Tennekoe bank that even the designers of that couldn't have possibly thought of at the time. You could load custom save data that you downloaded from the internet onto your micro SD card, swap it into the memory of your PC Engine or TurboGrafx, and then use that to play any way you want. You could skip right to the final boss of something like Newtopia instead of having to play your way through. Or your friend could send you a save file if they did something fun and cool and they wanted to share it with you. Like, look here, look what I've done. Just load this into your micro SD card, copy it from the Tenneco bank to your PC Engine, and try it for yourself. Now, so far, I'm just telling you what it is without showing you what it does. But to do that, I'm going to play a little bit into this game, and then I'm going to create a save file in the file cabinet because I don't currently have any on this PC Engine, so I need to create them to be able to demonstrate the functionality of the Tenneco bank. So I'm not going to play a long session of Newtopia here, just enough to make a small bit of progress, get a few items, get a little bit of gold, get everything started. It's the beginning of a run, not a full run, because we don't have the time for that. So skipping ahead, I've got 100 gold now. I've taken a few hits. It's time to go back home where you can get your life restored for free as many times as you want. And while you're here in this temple, you also get offered the opportunity to get a password, and the password can also be saved to the file cabinet. Now we're getting somewhere. Now you're really going to see what this can do. And just so it's not unclear, like that I didn't already have a save to begin with in one of these files, I'm going to walk out, walk back in, and create a second save file so that when we copy them from local memory to the micro SD card, you'll see Newtopia 1 and Newtopia 2. There's going to be two files that I'll copy over. That's done. Now I can hit the reset button on the Turbo EverDrive and go back to the main menu. And here we have the list of games again. Now to get to the Tenneco Bank menu, you're going to use the select button that's to the left of your run button, and you will see a menu like this showing the data that you have locally, and then it will ask you to hit 1 to copy the RAM to your micro SD card, and then it will ask you to hit run to confirm that's really what you wanted to do. And of course, it's what you wanted to do. So go ahead and confirm that you're copying your data. Boom, there it is. You've just backed up your local data to your micro SD card, and this is not a one-way process. You'll notice that these arrows are currently pointing to the right, but you can also change them. You can make it point to the left to copy it from your micro SD back to your card. And there are also multiple vaults in the bank, so you can store it in a different vault by selecting the slot you want and use whichever one is specific to the game that you're working with, or just anything that you wanted to copy that you didn't want in your main slot. So however you want to organize it is entirely up to you. As you can see, you change the arrows if you want to copy it one way or the other, or interchange the data from one to the other. You can just swap them. It's very versatile, and it's not anything that I had ever even thought you could do with a PC Engine. I didn't know the Tenneco Bank could do this, and I didn't know there was a new operating system that could emulate the Tenneco Bank and do this. So this is pretty amazing if you ask me. One of the other really neat features of this operating system that I don't have a good way to demonstrate in this video is that you can use this new operating system to make your Turbo EverDrive function as an arcade card. There were some games that had an arcade card required, and it's kind of rare and expensive to get now. So if you wanted to play those games with an arcade card, you could use your Turbo EverDrive with this operating system and make it function as the arcade card for those games. So potentially a huge money saver if you already had a Turbo EverDrive but not an arcade card. And of course, anything that you can load on your Turbo EverDrive is going to work on either version of this operating system. But just to make sure, I wanted to try something that wasn't a typical Hue card that somebody had dumped. I wanted to run a homebrew and make sure that they work the same in Crix's operating system as in this new TEOS. And what better way to do that than with this unofficial port of Super Mario Bros. For PC Engine. Now, as in my previous video about this, you'll notice that it's running way too fast because the person who ported it was living in Europe, so they're using the PAL version. And when you run the PAL version on NTSC hardware, you're going from 50 Hz to 60 Hz. So yes, it sounds faster, it moves faster, it runs faster. Everything is faster than you would expect. And nobody that I know of has ever corrected this ROM to make it 60 Hz localized for the United States and Japan. I don't suspect enough people even know it exists or would care that much to really want to do that. So I just kind of live with it the way it is because it's a novelty and not something I really do on a regular basis. This is more like a party trick that you can show your retro gaming friends when they're over hanging out with you and say, I've got Super Mario Bros. On the TurboGrafx 16, and they say, bullshit, there's no such thing. And you say, oh, you want to bet? You pull out your Turbo EverDrive, you put it in your TurboGrafx 16, you turn it on, you select Super Mario Bros., and you watch them be dumbfounded as you start playing the game. They'll say that it's a trick. You hooked up an NES somewhere, you did some sleight of hand. You'll show them there's no hidden wires, there's no cables running underneath the table. It's real, it works. And then they'll say it's too fast, and you'll say, yeah, I know, because it was ported to the TurboGrafx 16, and it's not really supposed to run on this in the first place. And then you can just avoid the whole discussion about PAL and NTSC if you really don't want to have it, but if they're technical-minded enough to know what you're talking about, then go ahead and tell them that it's running at 50 Hz instead of 60, and that's why it doesn't sound or look right. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This has been a review of the TEOS for PC Engine and TurboGrafx using the Turbo EverDrive. As always, thank you for watching.